And away we go.
Misha.
Hey. Okay, so Dakota, here we go. Measurement systems here. In Canada, what's meant when they say SI units and imperial units? That's the first thing we have to understand. So in Canada, we use two systems. System International, now that's French. But they call those SI units. Right? And usually you call them metric too. The other system, though that old people use and they use in the States, and carpenters use it a lot, feet and inches, that's the imperial system. The British used to use it too. So when you hear gallons, pounds, feet, inches, that's imperial. Pardon me. Yeah. Which do you use most often in Canada, do you think? Speed limits, things like that, that's kilometers per hour. We use the SI units most often in Canada. However, I asked anybody in this classroom how tall they are. How tall are you? Yeah, you're giving them feet and inches, right? So it's a combination. That's imperial, the feet. The imperial system is used in a lot of trades, like carpentry. Weights and pounds and stuff like that. Pretty common. What else? The SI. So in the SI system, the base unit for measuring length. You know what it is? Like if I'm talking metric system, what do you measure length in? Metric. You know what it's called? What is this? Yeah, but how long is this? 1? It's a meter. It's a meter stick. So this is why we're learning this stuff. I just wanted you to see what I mean. So the basic unit, or the base unit for measuring length is the meter. Now you'll see meter spelled M-E-T-E-R and M-A-T-R-E. They're both acceptable in Canada. I tend to spell it M-E-T-R-E. But if you just see a small m, that means meters. Okay? In the metric system, in the SI system, when you measure volume, that's how much like liquid is in something. Do you know what pop cans are measured in? And big, I was going to say the name of the big pop. Liters. Liters, yeah. Liter. We use a capital L for that. Now, the SI system, we say it's a decimal system. That's a good thing, because everything's based on multiples of 10. So for example, when I say a decimal system, you can convert from centimeters to meters and centimeters to millimeters just by moving the decimal without actually changing the numbers. 1 centimeter is 10 millimeters, things like that. It's all multiples of 10. 100 centimeters is 100 centimeters is a meter. Now, the crappy thing is in the imperial system, they don't have nice tens. It's like you have here 12 inches to 1 foot, 3 feet to 1 yard. You got to memorize all those things. Well, we won't memorize them. You either have to have a chart or memorize them. Hey, guys, I'm recording a bit here too. You got your work, right? Won't stop right now. So anyways, in the imperial system, the base unit for measuring length is the foot. And then you can break that down. The foot. It's down there. And we usually use FT as the word abbreviation. I also see 1 tick mark besides that. That will mean feet. In the imperial system, if you're measuring volume though, you might hear old people talk about this, pints. But it's not used very much even by old people anymore. At restaurants, sometimes when you order drinks, they're in a pint glasses. And like I was mentioning before, the imperial system is not a decimal system. That means the conversions are a little more involved. Now, just going to see what we're going to go through. I'm going to leave this problem here. Don't worry about the lead part. This water purification system, it's just using some liters, some figuring out. It's all skills that you should have, but before we do this, or I mean, I'll let you do that one. I'm going to skip ahead here, and let's just take a look at a ruler here. What's the smallest fraction indicated on? We're going to use this inches side, okay? Now, in inches, do you see how each 1 inch, let's start between here, is broken up into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 markings? So that means they're broken up into eighths. Now that's 1/8 of an inch on the meter square, the reverse side, the yard side. Now, it says 9 objects. We'll just do a couple here. If I measure this sink, and I know your vision isn't great, but I think you could probably see this. If you look at this sink, how wide is it? I have the start there. It's definitely over 18. And if I look straight down on it, it is 1, 2, 3 of those eighths over. That's how you'd measure that. Carpenters would be doing that. So I'm going to just put that in the sink. I guess we didn't estimate here. We went straight to the measure. So that's 18 and then you put the fraction right after, 3/8 of an inch. A lot of people hate inches and stuff because you got to use fractions. Now, can you see enough here to guesstimate what the width of this sink is? So it's right on this tick mark. Tell you what, I'll just bring it around. So what would this be? The big number is 12. 2 of those eighths. Can you reduce? Yep. So 12 So that's 12, and like you said, 2 out of 8, but we can reduce it in 1 out of 4, right? 1/4. That's a 1/4 inch added up. So that's how you work with feet and inches. Well, that's just inches. I have a ruler down here, but that's broken up into 16ths. This picture of it. We'll see. Don't worry too much about that activity right now, because I want you to cruise through some of this. Now, the conversion chart here. You have to have these, and these will be given on the test. But 1 foot, I mentioned this before. Did you know this? 1 foot is 12 inches? Yeah. Most people know that.
And the weight.
Yep. So 1 foot is 12 inches. 1 yard is 3 feet. That one isn't as common, but that's a yard stick. That is 36 inches. 3 feet is 36 inches. 3 times 12. But here's the one that I even forget this now. 1 mile is 1,760 yards. That's a lot. How many feet is that? That's 5,280. Very few people in your generation would know that off the top of their head. And I don't expect you to, but we're going to know how to use the conversion factors. Now, of these, pick one from A, B, C, or D that we're going to try. Yeah.
2.5.
Okay, 2 miles into yards. Now, I'm going to do a similar problem then, and so this will be like C. Okay. Just do it on the map, like C. So, that one's decimal miles into yards. Let's go with something like this. 1.8 miles is how many yards? Okay, and well, let's go with this. Now, in order to do this, you have to look up from that chart, miles to yards. And, with me. 1 mile is 1,760 units. We're going to solve the problem the same way we have in the last 2 units. We're going to say, on one side, I'll make a fraction equal to another fraction, proportion. And 1 mile. Now, I'm not going to use the full word, but I'll put MI and we'll understand that to mean mile. If I put M, it means meters usually, so we won't do that. And 1760 yards. That's just from, always look up your conversion factors for the 2 things you're interested in from the chart. And then, now it's just a matter of matching. 1.8 miles is what we're given. We have miles in blue on the top, so we're going to put 1.8 miles on the top there. We're looking for yards, that's the X, on the bottom. So then, I know you know how to solve these, but I'll do this in case someone's watching the video not sure again. You're solving for X, cross multiply the diagonal numbers, and divide by the loner. In this case, it's 1.8 times, type it in, 1,760, divide by 1. Now, if you know a thing or two about math, you don't have to divide by 1, but you always divide by the loner. X X equals 3,168. Remember what X was? It's measured now in yards. All of those are set up that way. Now, what about when you have fractions involved? There's some that are trickier than others. If you want just yards into feet, like this one here, you could just say, well, I know the 3/4, and you could use that calculator if you don't. You go 3 divided by 4, that's decimal 75. And you could just say, okay, I'm going to use 14.75, because I want it all in feet. That's fine. Same with this, and you can use decimals. Carpenters would be mad at you or whatever, but works. But this one, we got to keep the fractions on here because it's into feet and inches, or else this one here is just inches. Well, to do this one, and we'll do something like H, but just to explain this one, all you'd have to do with this G is convert the 19 feet into inches. You already have this fraction in inches. So as long as you convert 19 feet, so you'd use that sort of 1 foot, 12 inches, and then you set up the ratio for 19 feet. Change that into inches, and then you just give your new measurement with the fraction beside it. So more about that if you get into there in a little bit. But let's go with something like this. I'm going to do one like that, so like H. So this one's like H. What do we got for H? I'm going to go with, I'm thinking of my multiples here. 54.5 inches. Now I'm going to use the old tick mark thing. I guess you've seen that on the other ones too. I'll just put inches. But you need double, if you want to use this, double tick marks, that means inches. Okay, into feet in inches. Convert that into, oh, we said, into feet inches. We'll give our answer with the tick marks though. Now, part of it is easy. We've got this fraction of inches. We're going to leave that alone. Okay? You've got to just remember this. So what you've got to do then is 54.5 inches. Let's think this one through. We know that there's 12 feet in an inch, right? Or I said it backwards, 12 inches in 1 foot. For this kind, you got to think how many groups of 12 fit in there. And you could just count it, 12, okay, 24, 36, where are we at, 36, 48. Hey, 48 after that, we get to 60, so. We can fit 4 groups of 12 inches in there. Now, if you can't count it though, sometimes you got a huge number of inches. You'd want to use division, and here's the way you could do this. You following me on this? So I was telling you the quick way to do it, and then you just subtract the 48 and then you have. I'll show you the quick way, and then if you don't understand. So quick way is knowing that 48 inches is 4 feet, so 54 minus the 48 is 6 inches left over. And you know that 48 inches here is 4 feet. We can just think that one through. So you'd say the whole thing is 4 foot, 6, and then remember there was that half, 6.5 inches. Now that's the quick way if you can see it. If this was a larger number and you couldn't count by 12 quickly, we would go with this 54 and we'd say 1 foot, 12 inches. Hello there. Is, we want to find x number of feet out of the 54 inches. Now we're going to get decimals in here. But when we do that, you cross multiply. 54 times 1, divide by 12. Now I know the answer ahead of time because we've done this, but you get 4.5. 4.5 feet. When you give things in feet and inches, like a height, 4'6" or whatever, you can't have decimals on the feet. All the decimals get converted back to inches. So we would say, let's set this 4 aside. Now we got the answer. Okay, there's 4 definite feet. The rest is decimals, decimal feet. So then you'd say, good notice, carry this down and say, well, you know that 1 foot, 12 inches, I have decimal 5 feet left over. How many inches is that? So you go to 0.5 times 12, divide by 1. And that little x is 6 inches. You come up with the same answer with more work. You say, well, now that is, then that's where the 6 comes. 6, and then remember there was a half on the original thing. 6.5 inches. I think it's obvious that it's easier to figure out how many groups of 12 go into something like that. Okay? And just use a calculator. Multiply 12 times 2, 12 times 3, and figure it out. I'm going to stop the recording. I think you got enough to get going on this.